Many people love the ritual of coffee. The aroma, the warmth, the comfort of that familiar cup. It feels like a daily companion. But for those over 60, the way the body processes caffeine begins to change. What once felt harmless even, a cozy cup after dinner can begin to disrupt the natural rhythms of rest and recovery. That late-night cup of coffee, which might have been a small pleasure years ago, can quietly become one of the biggest barriers to a good night's sleep. And sleep, more than ever at this stage of life, is the foundation of strength, clarity, and vitality. Caffeine is a natural stimulant, and it doesn't simply switch off when the mug is empty. In fact, it lingers in the body for hours. Scientists call this the half-life of caffeine, the time it takes for the body to break down half of it. For most adults, that half-life is around 5 to 6 hours. This means if you sip a cup of coffee at 6 p.m., half of that caffeine is still in your system at 11 p.m., just when you're hoping to fall asleep. For seniors, the metabolism of caffeine tends to slow even further. The stimulant effect stretches deeper into the night, making the brain more alert when it should be winding down. You may notice it in subtle ways. Perhaps you're tossing and turning, unable to drift off, or maybe you fall asleep but wake up at 2 a.m., your mind strangely alert, almost restless. Even if you don't fully connect these nights to your evening coffee, the link is often there. And over time, this disrupted rest doesn't just leave you groggy in the morning. It chips away at the deeper cycles of sleep, the restorative stages when the body repairs tissue, balances hormones, and strengthens memory. That late cup of coffee can take away far more than just a few hours of rest. It can quietly drain the very energy you need for the day ahead. Some seniors notice this change more dramatically than others. A person who never had trouble falling asleep in their 40s may suddenly find their 60s and 70s are filled with unpredictable nights of wakefulness. It's not simply age. It's the way the body and brain are adjusting. And when coffee enters too late in the day, the delicate balance tips against you. That doesn't mean giving up the joy of coffee altogether. It simply means reshaping the timing. Imagine starting your day with a warm cup in the morning, when your body is naturally waking up, and the caffeine helps sharpen your alertness. Maybe you enjoy a second cup mid-morning, a gentle lift that carries you through lunch. By the time the afternoon comes, switching to decaf, herbal tea, or even just water helps your system wind down at the right pace. You're still honoring the ritual, the comfort of a hot drink, the pause it gives in your day, but without the hidden cost of lost sleep. The reward for making this small adjustment is often noticeable within days. Many people find they fall asleep faster, sleep more deeply, and wake feeling genuinely refreshed instead of heavy-eyed. Rest becomes more reliable, and with it comes better mood, clearer thinking, and steadier energy. It may sound simple, just moving that last cup earlier, but the effect on daily life can be profound. And here's something reassuring. Breaking the habit of a late-night cup doesn't have to feel like deprivation. The body often adapts quickly, finding balance in its natural rhythms again. You may even discover a new evening ritual, perhaps a soothing chamomile tea or warm milk that signals comfort without overstimulation. Over time, this shift feels less like giving something up and more like gaining something essential. Back, peaceful, nourishing sleep. It's remarkable how one small choice can ripple through every part of life. By letting go of that late-night coffee, you're not losing a pleasure, you're protecting your rest, your memory, your energy, and even your joy the next morning. And as the days go by, you'll likely find that the trade was more than worth it. But this is just the first of the coffee habits that can quietly undermine health after 60. The late-night cup is a hidden thief of sleep. Yes, but what about the sweeteners and flavors so many of us stir into our mugs without thinking? Could that be another mistake, silently shaping our well-being? That's where we'll go next. Coffee itself is simple beans, water, and heat. But over time, many of us have developed a habit of dressing it up. A spoonful of sugar here, a swirl of flavored syrup there, maybe even a flavored creamer to make it richer. These additions make the drink taste comforting and familiar, but for seniors, especially those over 60, they can turn a healthy ritual into something that quietly undermines well-being. Watching the sweeteners doesn't mean giving up pleasure. It means becoming aware of how those little extras add up in ways that matter more with age. Sugar is not just sweet on the tongue. It acts inside the body like a spark that burns too quickly. When you drink coffee loaded with sugar, your blood glucose rises rapidly. For a younger person, the body's insulin system can often handle that spike more smoothly. But as the years go by, insulin sensitivity naturally declines. This means sugar lingers longer in the bloodstream, keeping levels higher than they should be. Over time, those daily sweetened coffees can contribute to energy crashes, unwanted weight gain, and even a higher risk of diabetes or heart issues. The tricky part is that sugar in coffee often doesn't feel like much. A teaspoon here, a splash there, maybe a flavored syrup that tastes harmless, but hidden within those flavors are often more sugar than one might expect. A single flavored coffee drink from a cafe can contain as much sugar as a dessert. Even at home, the habit of reaching for the sugar bowl adds up quickly. It's rarely the one big indulgence that matters most. It's the small, repeated choices that shape how the body feels day after day. Artificial sweeteners and flavored syrups bring another layer of complexity. Many people switch to them thinking they are safer or better than sugar, but they can have their own drawbacks. Some artificial sweeteners trick the brain into craving more sweetness, keeping the cycle of wanting sugary foods alive. Others can upset digestion, leaving the stomach unsettled. And flavored creamers often contain not just sugar but also processed oils and additives that burden the body rather than nourish it. The comforting swirl in the cup can hide ingredients that take away more than they give. So what does it mean? In practical terms, to watch the sweeteners, it means becoming conscious of what goes into the cup. For some, it might mean gradually reducing sugar. Instead of 2 spoonfuls, try 1, then half, until the taste buds adjust. For others, it might mean experimenting with natural flavor enhancers. A sprinkle of cinnamon, a drop of pure vanilla, or even a dash of cocoa can bring richness and depth without spiking blood sugar. These small swaps keep the ritual enjoyable, but shift it toward balance. And here's the encouraging part. Taste buds are remarkably adaptable. What seems bitter at first without the usual sugar often softens with time. Within a few weeks, many people find they genuinely enjoy the taste of coffee with less sweetness, sometimes even preferring it. The natural flavors of the beans become more noticeable, and the body responds with steadier energy instead of the highs and lows that sugar creates. This isn't about restriction or harsh rules. It's about aligning the habit of coffee with the body's real needs at this stage of life. Energy, stability, and health matter more than ever. By simply watching the sweeteners, you're not giving up joy, you're giving yourself freedom from the roller coaster that sugar often brings. Instead of chasing energy with sugar highs, you'll find it steadier, clearer, and more reliable. It's worth remembering that coffee, in its pure form, has health benefits. It can support alertness, provide antioxidants, and even protect against certain age-related conditions. But when it's masked by too much sugar or syrup, those benefits are diluted. The coffee becomes less about health and more about habit. By bringing the drink back to its simpler state, you're reclaiming its positive side while protecting yourself from the unnecessary strain of sweeteners. This shift may seem small, just a spoon of sugar less, or a choice of cinnamon over syrup, but like all meaningful changes, it ripples outward. Blood sugar steadies, energy smooths out, digestion feels lighter, and health risks stay lower. Every cup becomes not just a comfort but a quiet act of self-care. And yet, sweeteners are only one part of the story. Coffee itself can play with hydration levels, and what we drink alongside it or fail to drink can make a big difference in how the body feels. So the next question is, what happens when we forget to balance our coffee with water? That's where we'll go next. Coffee is often the first thing we reach for in the morning, a warm invitation to start the day. But with every sip, something subtle happens inside the body that isn't always felt right away. Coffee, while comforting and energizing, has a mild diuretic effect. This means it encourages the body to let go of water a little faster than it would otherwise. For someone over 60, when hydration is already more delicate and thirst signals are not as sharp as they used to be, this effect can tip the body toward imbalance. Staying hydrated, even while enjoying coffee, becomes an essential act of care. Water is the foundation of nearly everything the body does. It cushions joints, supports circulation, helps regulate temperature, and keeps the skin and tissues supple. The brain itself relies on steady hydration to maintain clarity, memory, and focus. As the years go by, the body's ability to conserve and regulate water changes. Seniors may not always feel thirsty, even when the body truly needs fluid. This makes the gentle pull of dehydration easier to slip into unnoticed. Coffee, on its own, isn't dangerous. But when it becomes the main liquid consumed in the day without enough water to balance it, the result is often fatigue, dizziness, or even muscle cramps that seem to appear for no clear reason. Some people mistake the energy they feel after coffee as hydration itself, but it isn't. The stimulation from caffeine can mask the early signs of dehydration. You may feel alert for a short while, but if water hasn't been replenished, that energy quickly drops. The afternoon slump, often blamed on age or routine tiredness, can sometimes be traced back to nothing more complicated than the body's need for more fluids. A few glasses of water alongside coffee can change the entire rhythm of the day, lifting energy in a more steady and natural way. Hydration also plays a quiet but critical role in digestion. Seniors who notice that coffee sometimes feels harsh on the stomach may not realize that dehydration amplifies this effect. The digestive system relies on fluids to keep things moving smoothly. Without enough water, coffee can feel more irritating, leading to heartburn or constipation. But when water is present, the body handles coffee more gently, turning it into a pleasant part of the day rather than something that causes discomfort. The solution is not to give up coffee but to pair it wisely. A simple habit, drinking a glass of water with or right after each cup of coffee restores balance. This doesn't dilute the pleasure of coffee, it enhances it. Instead of the jittery edge or dryness that sometimes follows coffee, the body feels supported, refreshed, and stable. Many people who try this find that their energy no longer crashes, but flows more evenly. What seems like a minor adjustment can prevent the headaches, fatigue, and restless feelings that dehydration quietly causes. It's also worth noticing how hydration affects sleep. Just as late-night coffee can steal hours of rest, mild dehydration can keep the body unsettled at night. Muscles may cramp, the mouth may feel dry, and sleep becomes shallower. When water intake is balanced during the day, rest becomes easier, deeper, and more restorative. In this way, staying hydrated works hand in hand with the other adjustments around coffee, supporting both energy during the day and peace at night. For seniors who enjoy the ritual of coffee, hydration doesn't mean restriction or complexity. It means companionship. Letting water sit beside coffee, just as important, just as regular. A glass in the morning before the first sip, one again mid-morning and another in the afternoon keeps the body steady. The coffee then becomes what it was meant to be, a pleasure, not a drain. The beauty of this shift is how quickly the benefits appear. Within days, many notice clearer thinking, lighter digestion, smoother skin, and fewer spells of fatigue. Hydration is one of the simplest yet most overlooked aspects of health, and aligning it with a coffee routine makes it effortless. Every sip of water is a quiet investment in steadiness and vitality. But hydration is only one piece of the puzzle. Even with water, some people find that coffee itself still feels too harsh, leaving the stomach uneasy or the body unsettled. That raises another question. What if it isn't the timing or the sweeteners, or even the water, but the coffee itself that needs a gentler touch? That's where the next part of the journey begins. Would you like me to now expand the fourth key point, choosing acid or gentler coffee for digestion, in this same narrative style, so it continues flowing like a chaptered health guide? You said, for many, coffee is not only a comfort but a tradition, a part of life woven into mornings, conversations, and quiet moments. Yet, as the body changes with age, coffee can begin to feel less like a friend and more like a challenge. The stomach, which once handled cup after cup without protest, may suddenly signal discomfort, a burning sensation, a sour taste, or a restless churning that lingers long after the last sip. This is not unusual, as the digestive system grows more sensitive. With the years, the natural acidity of coffee can become harder to tolerate. Recognizing this shift is not about weakness. It's about listening closely to what the body is saying. Coffee is naturally acidic, and this acidity is part of what gives it its rich, bold flavor. But in the stomach, too much acidity can irritate the lining, especially if there are already changes such as reflux, gastritis, or slower digestion that often accompany aging. For some, the discomfort shows up as heartburn shortly after drinking coffee. For others, it might feel like bloating, indigestion, or a vague unease in the gut. These signs are easy to brush off as small annoyances, but over time, they chip away at comfort and enjoyment. The good news is that coffee does not have to be abandoned. Instead, it can be adjusted. Low-acid coffee varieties are one simple solution. These beans are roasted in ways that reduce their acidity, leaving the flavor intact but making the drink gentler on the stomach. Many people find they can continue to enjoy coffee daily once they make this switch. Cold brew is another option. By steeping coffee grounds in cold water for many hours, the resulting drink is naturally smoother and lower in acid. The flavor profile changes, less bite, more mellow, and for a sensitive stomach. This difference can mean the line between discomfort and comfort. It's worth noting that every stomach is unique. Some may find that simply switching brands or choosing a darker roast eases the problem, since darker roasts often contain slightly less acid. Others may need to limit the size of each serving, enjoying smaller cups more slowly rather than large mugs all at once. The key is not to give up coffee entirely, but to experiment until the body responds with ease rather than irritation. This awareness also connects to the timing of coffee. Drinking it on an empty stomach often amplifies the acidic effect, leaving the stomach more exposed. A light meal or even a small snack before coffee can buffer the impact. Something as simple as pairing coffee with breakfast, rather than drinking it first thing alone, can change the way it feels inside the body. Again, it isn't about sacrifice, it's about finding the balance that allows coffee to remain a pleasure without hidden costs. Why does this matter so much? Because digestion is not only about comfort. When the stomach is irritated, the rest of the body feels it too. Energy becomes less steady, meals feel heavier, and even sleep can be disturbed if reflux creeps in at night. By choosing gentler coffee options, seniors protect not only their digestion but their overall well-being. The small shift toward acid or cold brew is really a shift toward respect for the body's changing needs. The reward for listening to these signals is not just relief from discomfort but the joy of keeping a beloved ritual alive. Coffee can still be the morning spark, the warm cup in hand during conversation, the gentle companion on a quiet afternoon. Only now, it works with the body rather than against it. Each cup becomes a choice not just for taste, but for harmony with digestion. When seniors make this adjustment, many describe a surprising outcome. they not only feel less discomfort but enjoy coffee more deeply. Without the distraction of stomach irritation, the flavor becomes clearer, the experience more peaceful. What once felt like a guilty pleasure becomes once again a simple joy. But while the stomach often speaks loudly when coffee is too harsh, there are other areas where the effects are quieter, almost hidden. One of the most important, and often overlooked, is how coffee interacts with the very medicines that support health in later years. And that is where the next part of this journey leads. Coffee feels so ordinary, so harmless, that it's easy to forget it carries real effects inside the body. For most, it's simply a pleasant boost. But for seniors who rely on medications each day, coffee can sometimes play an invisible role, one that isn't always in harmony with what the medicine is meant to do. This isn't about fear, nor about giving up coffee entirely. It's about understanding the relationship between coffee and prescriptions, and how a small adjustment can make both work better for your health. Caffeine is the active player here. Once it enters the bloodstream, it stimulates the nervous system, increases alertness, and can slightly raise heart rate and blood pressure. On its own, this may not cause concern, but when combined with certain medications, the effects can shift in unexpected ways. For example, some medicines for high blood pressure or heart rhythm need the body to stay calm and steady. Too much caffeine can nudge things in the opposite direction, leaving the medication less effective. What seems like a simple cup of coffee can, in this context, complicate the work the medicine is trying to do. There are also medicines that are processed through the liver in ways that overlap with caffeine. This means the body has to work harder to break them both down at the same time. For a senior whose metabolism is already slowing, the result may be that caffeine lingers longer, creating stronger effects than expected, or the medication itself may not reach its proper balance in the bloodstream. Even something as common as antibiotics can sometimes interact with caffeine, intensifying feelings of jitteriness or making sleep more difficult. Sleep, in fact, is one of the clearest examples of where medication and coffee can clash. Seniors who take prescriptions for sleep, anxiety, or mood may find that caffeine cancels out part of what those medicines are designed to support. A pill taken to calm the mind at night is quietly fighting with the coffee from the afternoon. The person may not connect the dots, blaming age, stress, or the medicine itself, when in truth it's the caffeine still at work in the background. Blood sugar medicines are another area where coffee deserves attention. For those managing diabetes, caffeine can influence how sensitive the body is to insulin. While the effect varies from person to person, it can sometimes make blood sugar control less predictable. If sweeteners or creamers are added to the coffee, this adds an additional layer of challenge. The good intention of taking medicine to stabilize health is quietly offset by a drink that doesn't seem connected at all, yet plays a role nonetheless. This does not mean coffee and medication can never coexist. In many cases, they can, but timing and awareness make all the difference. For instance, taking certain medications with a glass of water and waiting a little while before drinking coffee allows the medicine to be absorbed without interference. Separating the two by even an hour can reduce unwanted overlap. For some prescriptions, doctors may recommend avoiding caffeine altogether, but often it is a matter of balance rather than elimination. The key is conversation. Too often, people don't mention their coffee habits to their doctor or pharmacist because it feels insignificant. Yet that daily 2 or 3 cups can influence how a prescription behaves. Simply asking, does coffee interact with this medicine, can open clarity and prevent unnecessary side effects. It is not a matter of giving up something enjoyable, but of aligning to forces the coffee you love and the medicine you need, so they don't pull against each other. Listening to the body helps, too. If new side effects appear after starting a medicine, faster heartbeat, unsettled sleep, or stomach upset, it's worth considering whether coffee is amplifying the issue. Sometimes the answer isn't changing the medicine at all, but adjusting the coffee routine to match it more wisely. When this balance is found, the result is not only better health but also peace of mind. Coffee remains a trusted part of the day, the medicine continues its work as intended, and the body rests easier knowing the two are not in conflict. This is the quiet power of awareness, protecting both the enjoyment of coffee and the effectiveness of the medicines that matter most. But while coffee and prescriptions can interact in hidden ways, there is another area, just as important, not about what coffee does to medicine, but about what it does to the bones, the muscles, and the strength of the body itself over time. And that is where we'll go next.